Good afternoon and welcome everyone who has joined here today with us on the Eagle Forum. And thank you for all the participants who have registered and taken the time to join us today. Pada hari ini, pada forum kali ini kita akan membawakannya dalam bahasa Inggris sehingga kita ingin menginformasikan bahwa akan tersedia layanan interpretasi di tombol interpretasi yang tersedia di bagian layar bawah partisipan sekalian atau para peserta sekalian. Perkenalkan, my name is Sara Wade and I will be your host for this evening. And before we start our forum for today, I would like to give you a little background about the Eagle Forum. Eagle Forum itself is a talk show program initiated by Eagle Institute Indonesia, Metro TV, and it's based on digital or live streaming with various topics that invites filmmakers, academics, and public figures. This talk show is held live and is also available on Eagle Awards YouTube channel. For 16 years, Eagle Institute Indonesia has given and also continued to manage consistently and also supporting and promoting Indonesian film industry, especially the documentary films in Indonesia. And with today's forum, we hope to be able to obtain new insights and also views on how we can continue to support the film industry, not just nationally here in Indonesia, but also internationally. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, all the participants, the COVID-19 pandemic is still an obstacle for many people to have or hold physical gatherings. But that itself cannot break the enthusiasm and also the creative spirit of the filmmakers who continue to keep their passion alive for their creative work. And so today's discussion theme is Film Festival in the Eyes of Young Asian Filmmaker. Today, we will further explore the story of young Asian filmmakers regarding the film festivals they have attended in the past and how they are planning on attending film festivals in the future as well. So without further ado, please do allow me to introduce our speakers for today's forum. Our first speaker is Ms. Siti Kamaluddin, who is a film director from Brunei Darussalam. Good evening, Jakarta time, Ms. Siti.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everybody. Selamat sore.
Selamat sore, Mbak Siti. Baik, apa kabar? How are you?
Oh, it's a crazy last few minutes because I'm actually on set still, and I'm filming. Currently filming a series. Yeah.
Our next speaker, who has joined us today as well, is Mr. Teng Mangansakan, who is a filmmaker from the Philippines. Good evening,
Hello.
Mr. Mangansakan. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. It's nice to be part of this forum. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Likewise, thank you as well for joining us today, and we'll further explore and also discuss more. Thank you once again for being here. And so to everyone here, that was our panelists and our speakers for today's forum. And before we start today's discussion, I would like to invite everyone to please open your cameras so we can take a picture virtually together.
Okay.
All right, so is everyone ready? Has everyone opened their cameras? So our committee can take a virtual photo of our webinar for today. So, ready? On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. You may now, if you feel more comfortable by closing your cameras, you may do so, but we will continue our discussion this evening. So without further ado, our participants here and are ready to receive the insights and also the discussion that will be presented by our speakers with Ms. Siti and also Mr. Mangansakan. So without further ado, we would like to let our speakers present their presentation. First, we will allow Ms. Siti, who has also prepared a presentation for all of us this evening. And before I give the screen to Ms. Siti, please do allow me to read a short biography of Ms. Siti Kamaluddin. Ms. Siti Kamaluddin is the first female director in Brunei Darussalam, who is also considered to be one of the 50 most influential women in Brunei Darussalam by 2014. And she has a vast experience on screen and also behind the scenes as well. Ms. Siti herself set up Origin Artistic Management, the leading production company in Brunei, where she produced and directed TV commercials and documentaries for some of Brunei's largest corporate clients. So without further ado, Ms. Siti Kamaluddin, the screen and time is yours.
Hi, greetings from Brunei Darussalam. So since our topic today is about how important for young filmmakers, film festivals are. So I'd like to very much talk about sort of my experience, not just in attending other film festivals around the world, but also having our own film festival, which is a short film festival that we do in Brunei called the Brunei Film Blitz. So this is, we've had it now for 4 years. It started off just the competition aspect of short films that is between 6 to 12 minutes. Yeah. But so if you can go back to the previous slide, first of all. Yeah. So can we go back to the slide? Yeah. So now it has grown since it's held every December. So the festival grow to screen feature films. It went from a 3-day event now to become 14 days. We have about 40 feature films that we screen. We have many workshops, master classes, and we have the 96-hour film Blitz. So when we did this festival, first of all, then we can go to the next slide, this first slide. Yep. Yeah, so our goals as a festival is actually to build an audience, because we know that building audience is not easy. A lot of people watch YouTube. There's 500 million hours of video or watch on YouTube, but a lot of statistics show that people are only watching it for maybe like 1 minute and 2 minutes. So if we're a filmmaker and we're making film like 6 to 12 minutes, so it's tough to keep the interest. So audience building is part of it, of why we built this. And what we found through festival is that we strengthened relationship between not just countries, but all filmmakers, because we get to learn many stories from ASEAN, and sometimes depending on the guest. Yeah. And yeah, so it strengthened ties, and we share many, many stories. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so we've had films from Myanmar and Turkey and Iran, so different countries, and the filmmakers are here. So it's to do with culture. It's so important for us to share our culture with the rest of the world. So it's important as filmmakers, a young filmmaker, I think, to join a festival. I think it was really interesting when Myanmar came to Brunei for me. It was the first time I saw that kind of film for Myanmar. And it's also an interesting thing for me as a filmmaker from Brunei, that a lot of the global audience is not familiar with what Brunei film look like, what Brunei look like, what Brunei's language sound like, because it's like Malay, but it's not like Malaysia or Singapore or Indonesia, but I can understand Indonesian very well, but it sounds different. And so that it's important, like for me to, as a filmmaker, to make films and in Bruneian, Brunei films, and going to other festivals around the world. So culture is very much so very important. And this is the second goal. Yeah. Can we go to the next one? Next slide. Oh yeah, it is already. Yeah. So the second goal is actually also to build film industry professionals. This is important because when you attend festivals, there's a lot of workshops available. There's a lot of master classes available. And you get to meet so many filmmakers from different parts of the world. And not just for me, even some of my favorite ones are actually the ASEAN ones, because it looks like a reunion. So we get to see our friends from Philippines, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, Thailand. And then when I have my own festival in Brunei, then we invite them here. So again, exchange of culture, exchange of knowledge, because remember, Brunei is very different from our neighbors and our friends, because we don't have a film history. And like when I made my first feature film in 2014, it was like the first feature film that was released in since the 60s. So we don't have feature films, Bruneian feature films in the cinema for a long time. So that's why it's important to be involved in festival for me personally as a filmmaker. So I need to travel. I also wanted to have people to come to Brunei and have a festival. So being also ground zero, the workshops are really important to have so that we can help our young filmmakers in Brunei to improve their sound quality, cinematography, directing, and even the producing side, because they get to meet so many different producers. From Indonesia, we've had Sheila Timothy was here. She was part of our festival. We've had Agi Naratama for sound and Muhammad Ehsan for sound. Editing, we have had JD from Philippines, Domingo, Maria Ignacio also was in Brunei. And then we've had directors from Philippines like Sigrid Bernardo and Rain Yamson. So we've had a lot of filmmakers from, it seems Philippines and Indonesia are very close friends of mine. So I tend to invite a lot from these two countries to come and help our young filmmakers in Brunei, and also to encourage the filmmakers in Brunei to be involved in festivals. Okay. And also quality. So quality is important. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, quality content. This is our third goal. And when we so through the workshop, we hope to get better quality films. And so once the filmmaker go to our Brunei Film Blitz, after that, they then send their film out to other festivals. Yeah, and they did, and they also go attend other workshops outside of Brunei. So I mean, this is all pre-COVID. So last year in 2020 was the first time we, obviously the time when we still have the festival in Brunei. It's pretty safe, so we were allowed a certain number. So we ran the festival last December. However, with the international collaborations that we were doing, we actually do it through Zoom, just like what we are doing now. Yeah. Yay. That's it. It's a very short presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Siti. It was a very short but very insightful presentation as well. You have shared that there are three main goals, which includes the sharing of culture, building professionals, and also remembering the quality of the content itself. And we'll be discussing more about this with you, but we have now our second speaker this evening for our webinar, who is Mr. Teng Mangansakan. Good evening, Mr. Mangansakan.
Hello again.
Hello. Yes, once again, hello, Mr. Mangansakan. Thank you for joining us. We have just heard Ms. Siti's presentation, and now before we share the screen with you to allow you to present your presentation this evening, please do allow me to read a short interview of Mr. Teng Mangansakan. Mr. Teng Mangansakan was born in 1976 in Cotabato, southern Philippines. Gutierrez Mangansakan II is a keen observer of Southeast Asian cinema and one of the leading figures of the regional cinema new wave movement in the Philippines. He has produced, written, and also directed prize-winning films. He edits New Durian Cinema, a film journal dedicated to the discussion of Southeast Asian cinema, with emphasis on cinemas that are emerging away from the national capital, thus regional or peripheral, and runs the annual Salam Asian Film Festival. So without further ado, Mr. Teng Mangansakan, please do share with us your experiences and your views at this forum today.
Yes, hello again. I'm going to share, I guess, two things. First is how we came up with our own festival, because we run an annual film festival in Mindanao for the last 9 years, and also my experience in attending film festivals. That's why in my second slide, please, I wrote there, I'm the middle of a crossroad, a filmmaker who submits my films to festivals, and a film festival organizer myself. So these are two very different things. So I do both things as a filmmaker who has been making feature films since 2010. My first feature film was called Bridal Quarter or Limbunan, which was the closing film of the Venice Film Festival's International Critics Week, and that's how I started making films after 2010. And also, I've been running the Salaminano Asian Film Festivals since 23. First as festival director, and now being the artistic director of the festival. Next slide, please. There are many film festivals in the Philippines. I guess in Southeast Asia, we are the country with so many festivals, film festivals. Next slide, please. There are big film festivals in terms of budget. For instance, the Cinema Life Philippine Independent Film Festival, the Q Cinema International Film Festival, the Cinema One Film Festival. These are the three big festivals in terms of budget. They operate with a budget of at least $500,000 a year. And these big festivals, I guess what's very unique about these big festivals is that they give seed funding to filmmakers to make their films. So filmmakers are asked to submit scripts or sequence treatment, and the top materials are going to be selected, and these materials are given seed funding from $20,000 to $70,000. And these filmmakers make the films, which will then premiere in the festivals that I said earlier. So it's how these big festivals come up with a content for their festivals. So usually the call for announcement starts at the start of the year, and the festivals happen towards the end of the year. And of course, there are film festivals in terms of scope and influence. And my festivals, the Salaminano Asian Film Festival, we are one festival in which we do not limit ourselves alone in the Philippines or for Filipino filmmakers, but we also included films from other countries and from other filmmakers, especially films that come from cities that are not the film capital of the country. For instance, in Indonesia, we've been getting films from Yogyakarta, from Malang, from Solo, and even from Bali, and from Makassar. So that's what we try to focus on, the development of films from this part of the countries. And of course, we have regional film festivals. That's why I said that we have a lot of film festivals, because in each major city or in each major province, there is a film festival. And based on my last count, there are about 30 film festivals that are given government support by, of course, because government support has been very vital in the growth of the film festivals in the country. They provide funding and other technical assistance to festivals. So we're given money aside from, of course, the things that we need. Last year, for instance, when the COVID pandemic broke, the government gave us technical assistance by way of making sure that we have the appropriate online or internet connectivity to be able to continue making the festival in either hybrid or purely online in form. Okay, why are festivals very important? I guess especially for me when I was starting, and of course for budding filmmakers, film festivals are an opportunity to be screened and to be known. Of course, you go to all these film festivals around the world. and people see your films, critics see your films, they write about your films, and of course, the whole film community get to know you because they read about you, they read either good reviews or bad reviews about you. That's very important for filmmakers that they are written, their films are written about. So it's important that you become very visible, especially when you're starting, because when good things are written about your film, that gives a good impression for possible opportunities in the future. Because film festivals also provide opportunities for networking, either social and financial. Social, you meet other filmmakers. Social, because you meet a lot of critics and film programmers. And it also becomes something of help in terms of financial because of markets and co-production opportunities. For instance, my last film was made because of an international co-production by way of people that I've met in the previous years in this big festival. So these are very important. That's why it's important that when you attend festivals, it's not only that you confine yourself to watching films, but you also attend parties and meet people in markets and co-production meetings. And I guess it's also important that you learn opportunities or trends and issues affecting cinema through seminars, conferences, master classes, forums. So you also make time to attend all this. So because you get to learn a lot of things from these from film festivals. But of course, film festivals also have a downside, which I'm going to tell you. I think I also said this a few years ago in Jakarta when I was attending the Archipel Documentary Film Festival, which I was in a panel. And I said there that, next slide, please. Um, okay. The downside of film festivals is that sometimes if you're a young filmmaker, you lose your originality and unique cinematic voice in exchange for festival acceptability. Because when you attend these festivals, there are aesthetics, artistic sensibilities, there are ways of making films in which you copy because you think that when you copy this, it makes you more acceptable in other film festivals. So you lose the value of your identity as a filmmaker, of your Southeast Asian culture, of your unique Indonesian voice or your unique Filipino voice. So I guess a lot of filmmakers that I will not mention get programmed in film festivals right now because they exchange their voices with what can be acceptable in film festivals. Filmmakers always think of festivals as the only target for their films, so they've forgotten that there's other audience for festivals. So I guess this is something that I hope that young filmmakers who want to make films, I hope you do not exchange your soul, your identity, just because you want to be programmed in Berlin, you want to go to Rotterdam, you go to Cannes, so you make films that are unusually very slow and sometimes hard to comprehend because you say, oh, this is what the Europeans like, so I'm going to make a film like this so that I can be screened in these festivals. So that happens everywhere. In the Philippines, you see filmmakers doing all these types of films just so that they can get programmed. And of course, there are also other filmmakers in Indonesia, in Thailand, and other parts of Asia doing this because that's what's acceptable in this big film festival. So you have to weigh, a lot of things when you think of attending festivals, when you think of putting yourself in the larger scheme of cinema and the festivals. That's why, next slide please. When we started Mindanao, Salam Asian Film Festival in 2013, we had to think of factors why we wanted to make this festival happen. First is we wanted regional solidarity in Southeast Asian cinema because for a very long time, when people say Asian cinema, it has always been Japanese cinema, Chinese cinema, Korean cinema, but we wanted more solidarity, especially because Salam is in Mindanao. I'm a Mindanaoan filmmaker. I am from Mindanao. So I see that there are more commonality among the Southeast Asian cinema and even culture in these parts. Mindanao, you have Brunei, you have Sabah, you have the eastern part of Indonesia. These are parts of our region that has that we can learn a lot from. That's why we created Salam Asian Film Festival, and we also support emerging talents in Southeast Asian cinema. That's why our festival have been known to support the talents. For instance, Ed Muñoz of Malaysia, his short films were screened in Salam when he was starting. Surayus Prapapan of Thailand, and even the first film of Indonesian filmmaker BW Purba Negara was screened in Salam and eventually won the top prize, the best film in our festival. So it's very important that we support talents because again, it's important that we nurture talents, and we also make sure that we also write and discuss about Southeast Asian cinema and how this is very important because that's the only way we can advance and develop our cinema if we continue discussing how we can grow as cinema practitioners. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mangansakan, for the wonderful presentation. Okay, Salaman. And now, to all the participants, we will continue to a talk show that will be held within our forum today, this evening. And now we'd like to ask to Miss Siti first. As you have mentioned before, that you have said that through the film festivals, it's a place, it's a platform to be able to share culture, especially if you are just starting your professional career as a filmmaker. But you have also mentioned about audience building as well. Can you please tell us more about your experiences, especially when you first entered the film festivals? How did you choose which film festivals to participate in, and what were your first steps in doing so?
Right. So again, because we don't have films in Brunei, so when I was starting out, so I'm really starting from ground zero, and there's no kind of reference. And honestly, when I made my first feature film, Yasmin, I didn't think of film festival because I don't know anything about festival. I don't grow up with it. We don't have any film festival in Brunei. And no, I was not thinking at all about that. But I think there was some noise that there's a film coming out of Brunei and that people wanted to see it. And I actually have to be honest, I did not submit my films. I invited. And yeah, so that's how I learned about film festival, going to it, and it's a lot of fun. And I think one of that point that was mentioned by Teng is really good because, like, for example, like the last film I made, which was released last year, Academy, my cinematographer is Filipino cinematographer, and I met him at the film festival, and we were actually meeting at the film festival like 3 times in a row, and of course at the party. And he is like, Siti, why you never remember me? I remember you. So when are we going to collaborate and work together? I'm like, are you serious? Okay, I will call you soon. And 1 month later, I said, Rain, will you come to Brunei? So festival is a great place. Yeah. But we're not about the building audience, because in Brunei, again, because we don't have film, we cannot compete with Hollywood, of course. But it's the only thing that is being watched in Brunei. Like in our cinema, it's only Hollywood film, and sometimes there is some Malaysian movies, Korean, sometimes Thai horror, and Indonesian also, some very few. So it's very it is important for me when I start to make the film festival here in Brunei. Is the one of our first goal is actually to build an audience that will watch Brunei content.
Okay. And as for the festivals that you are to participate in, are there any certain
Yeah.
criteria, or how do you choose which festivals to submit the films that you have created?
I didn't. I did not choose it. So even with the last film, so I get, festival programmer. I get invited. So the programmers always like write to me and said, "Can you send me a link?" And then I get. So the last one we competed, and before it was not. This is before COVID, was in APSA, and also for the Asia Pacific Film Festival, but it's not no, I'm really not coming from that kind of background thing.
Okay.
Maybe may be able to give you a better advice on that. But so far for me as a filmmaker, I get invited
All right.
by
Like,
programmers.
noted, Ms. Siti. So now let's jump to Mr. Mangansakan, as Ms. Siti has said before. Ms. Siti does not have a certain criteria of which festival she is to participate in. But from your point of view, is it important for filmmakers to choose which film festivals for them to participate in, especially how you have mentioned before that one of the downside of film festivals is how it threatens the originality and also the creative independence of the artistic voice of filmmakers itself?
Yeah, I think it's important primarily because a lot of festivals are out there catering to different films. So if you're making a certain type of film, you should know which festival is best for your type of film. For instance, if you're an art house filmmaker, so there are festivals that cater to those types of films. And if you're more of a mainstream filmmaker, again, there are film festivals that are for mainstream films. So you have to know which of these film festivals, because sometimes you ask yourself, why was my film rejected in this film festival? And in this other festival, it got accepted. Maybe it's because it was not the type of film that they were looking for. And sometimes, or most of the times, film festivals do not explain to you why they did not accept your film. They just give you a very generic rejection letter. So it's important for filmmakers to really do their research in submitting to film festivals. And it's also important that if you attend film festivals, you talk to programmers, because programmers know all these things, and you get ideas from them. And sometimes what programmers do when they see your film, and it's something that they feel that is very good, but they also feel that it is not something for their festivals, they will recommend you to do that to the other festival. They will tell you, oh, I'm going to submit your film to this festival because I think your film is better suited for this festival rather than my festival. Because that has happened to me. I submit my films to some programmers, and they say that, oh, your film is good, but it's not for our festival. I think this film is for this festival. So that's how we get selected. And it's really important that through experience you really get to hone your marketing skills, because you really have to, of course, market your films, attend this when you attend this festival. You talk to a lot of people, so it's very, very important.
Okay, so is it important for us to choose which festivals to participate in first, or to create the movie or the film first and then decide? Because you have mentioned about festival acceptability also exists itself.
I think for me, I encourage filmmakers to just make their films, because again, it's like it's like the carriage bringing the horse than the other way around. So when you have your film, for instance, because when I make my films, I do not say, okay, I'm going to make my film because this is something for Berlin. I just make the film, and when it's finished, when my friends watch it, they will tell me, I think this film is suited for this festival. So they will ask me that. And some of my films, of course, do not get accepted to film festivals, and for some other reasons. For instance, many years ago, I did a black and white film called Kiama. So it's about a doomsday film from the point of view of a village coming to terms with the end. So it was in black and white, and it was very slow. And critics in the Philippines liked the film. They really loved the film. So I won a lot of awards. In 2013, it even won the Young Critics Circle's Best Film for 2012. But when I submitted it to festivals in Europe, they did not like it. They did not accept it. And I asked my friends, why? What's wrong with the film? And they said that, it's really hard for us to assess something because it's in black and white and it's very slow. And if it comes from the Philippines, that black and white and slowness is something that we identify with Love Diaz. So my identification with Love Diaz became something that became detrimental to the film. Not because there was something wrong with the film, but because of these certain things. Because this how film festivals and programmers operate. That in the Philippines you can only do something like this because it's black and white and slow. That's Love Diaz. If it's something magic realist and it comes from Southeast Asia, it's only a picture film. So there are categories like this that you also have to navigate in if you want to get programmed in film festivals. And sometimes, again, this is what I've been saying, that sometimes filmmakers will create a way to be programmed in film festivals by making films that look like this and look like that, because it's something that the European programmers would love. So that's it.
Okay. And now we would like to also know more. That was the views on how to participate in film festivals. Maybe it's starting from the pre-pandemic era, but now we have faced COVID-19, which is right, with a very smirky laugh from Mr. Mangansakan as well, because everyone is facing, of course, challenges in this pandemic. And as Ms. Siti has mentioned before, that Brunei has hold a festival, but online, virtually. So Ms.
No, it's not online.
It's not
Online, no,
okay, can you please tell us more on how it's held after COVID-19?
Yeah, because in Brunei, what I meant by the online was just the part with connecting with other filmmakers outside of Brunei. But the actual festival it's real. It's we have it at our film school, and yeah, we had it's not because we had no COVID in Brunei, no community spread. We have a few import cases, but our borders are locked. People are not allowed to leave the country or come into the country. So that's why. But we are kind of we are free to move around, no masks, and we can have events, and that's all. Things are kind of normal, except that we can't actually leave the country, and it's tough in Brunei, because Brunei is really small.
Well, many countries are not as lucky and as safe as Brunei. But in your point of view, how do you think that the COVID-19 has shaped the enthusiasm worldwide, probably from your conversations with other filmmakers from other countries, Ms. Siti? And in your opinion, there are probably films that is being screened online first. Do you think this will be different in terms of the emotional and also the key messages that is being sent out to the viewers?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's not the same when we watch film through laptop, or if it's screened online. It's not the same. I love the cinema experience. I love going to cinema and watch the movie big screen, good sound and popcorn, no, yeah, it's not the same, and it's kind of sad. uh I mean, it also stopped me from sending my last feature film to festivals, because a lot of the festival wanted is online outside of Brunei, and I didn't really want to do that, because for me the joy of being part of a festival is going there and meeting the people, and the talks, the discussion, because we are not so many filmmakers in Brunei. So it's always like really fun for me to meet other filmmakers and try to bring them here in our festival. You know what I mean? So
Also future
uh,
collaborations as well.
yeah, it's no, it's not the same. Yeah, so that's why in Brunei, like there was, for our own festival with the master class, less participation because of the with the online one. So with filmmakers from Philippines and Indonesia, and we had from Malaysia, it's not the same attendance. Even I
Yes.
think it's really hard to learn filmmaking through online,
Online,
for
virtual.
our young filmmakers. So
Yes.
it's, I mean, having the people here, that we have a much better attendance for the master classes. However, for the screening, it's not affected, because we actually brought the films and we have it, we projected it, and we had a proper screening
All
and
right.
premiere. Yeah.
Okay. So now we'd like to ask Mr. Mangansakan, because we saw him give several nods throughout the city's answer. So please, your perspective on how the COVID-19 has shaped the filmmaking, and especially the documentary and also the festivals.
Yeah, all the film festivals in the Philippines have been affected. So last year um, there was no physical film festival. Everything was online. And for instance, our festival, Salabinano Asian Film Festival, we decided not to do online because I believe that a film festival should be something physical. People attend, people talk, people meet each other. So I said, I don't want to do a hybrid film festival. And because there are a lot of film festivals in the country, there was a time when people get so tired already of watching things online. So when during the last quarter of the year, film festival organizers were already complaining, oh, nobody were watching our films because they've been watching all these films online since March. So there will come a time when when they get fed up. And of course, I also noticed that a lot of our filmmakers also did not send their films to film festivals because again, filmmakers don't want to screen their films online. And I remember last year I produced a film for my friend, a documentary film. Um, it was programmed in the Hilava Film Festival in the Czech Republic. It was a world premiere, and we were so happy that it's going to be world premiere. And of course, when we got the invitation, it was a physical film festival. So wow, at least my filmmaker, the director who is based in Italy, can go to Czech Republic and attend, even if I can't attend the festival. But 2 weeks later, the festival organizer wrote us saying that they've decided because of the rise in COVID cases in Czech Republic, they are going to do online. And we said, do we really want to do a world premiere online? So, and yes, we still agreed to do a world premiere online, but we kind of regretted the decision. So it's really difficult now, especially when you have a new film and you are looking for world premiere. It's really hard, but it's also hard for you to wait because the longer you wait, the more films are going to be made, and it's going to be harder for you to compete with other films in festivals because if during the pre-COVID there are, let's say, 1,000 films submitted. After COVID, there are going to be double that amount to choose from. So it's also sometimes you also do a balancing act. if there's a film programmer told me, Paolo Bertolin from the Venice Film Festival said that if there's no choice, no other choice, then I guess it's it really doesn't matter if you premiere online. But if there are other ways to premiere, then probably there you can wait perhaps. But that's the downside of the online film festivals.
Yes. Talking about the condition that we are facing right now, like Philippines, just like Indonesia, is also facing restrictions due to gatherings, different
Yes.
from Brunei. Right? In your opinion, is it still important for filmmakers to still send their films? Because as you mentioned before, that many are hesitant in doing so because it is held online and it will be different. Just like Siti said, do you think that the um, online film festivals with these screenings are still sufficient? Is not will not be will not have a great impact, but will the impact be sufficient, especially to those who have started filmmaking? Probably, Miss Siti, you can answer first.
It's really
Yeah.
hard because like again, I mean, it's all about when you make a film, especially when you make, yeah, yeah, doesn't matter, feature film, short film, you don't have a telephone or a laptop in your mind when people are watching your movie or your film, right? For me, then when you are framing your shots, everything is really for the big screen. And to have your film then put a premiere online, no, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I myself, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but I also understand that festivals need to survive and they need to exist, and yeah. But then, on if you remember my first quote about YouTube, and that if daily there's like 500 million views being watched, and that when you watch on the screen of your laptop, yeah, after 2 minutes you drop off,
Yes.
right? And it's gonna be easy if similar for film, you play it, it's easy for people to drop off if it's online.
Yes.
So it's not ideal, and I don't do, I mean, it's the reason also why I haven't made a film, because I was supposed to shoot another feature last year, and then this year I got asked again, are you going to shoot your feature? And I'm like, no, I think next year I will shoot it, and maybe to release the year after, because even in Brunei the cinema is operating, but people are scared to go, I check we check the cinema, the numbers, people are not going to the cinema
Yeah.
because they're simply, even though it's safe, they don't
Just
really want to
paranoid.
be, yeah. So no,
Okay.
I don't know, for me, I don't want my film to premiere online. It has to go through the cinema distribution first. Online is the last platform for me.
Because you still aim to achieve the maximum impact from the film.
Yeah, unless like currently I'm producing something for the web, and I'm directing it, then I always in my mind is thinking that my audience is mostly watching from the telephone or on the laptop. So I try not to have like long shots. Sometimes I can't help myself. I'm really not good like having single shots. I can't do that. I still do like a lot of over shoulders and very very dirty frames. So yeah, like, but I remember that no, this is people are watching on their phone and cannot, the shot is like too wide because you can't really appreciate the art departments, the production design.
And especially
So try
small
to
screen.
yeah, because the screen is so small. So I mean, if you have that in your mind that it's going to be screened online, no problem, make a movie and for the online festival. But
Okay.
have that and kind of prepare for that. But I believe that a lot of us who released a movie in 2020, or I released mine in January 2020 before the COVID, I haven't sent my film for any online festival, because I didn't have that in my mind, right? To have it online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about your perspective, Mr. Mangansakan? Should
Um,
first, please do answer.
yeah, yes. If I agree with Siti that if it's something that is going to do a world premiere, I guess the best world premiere is still going to be something physical, something that's theatrical. But because for me, nothing replaces the theatrical experience.
Yeah.
I think it's still the goal of every filmmaker to premiere in a theater in a dark room. But of course, if your films has they have been screened in like 10 film festivals already, then yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it's time that you say yes to online screening. But I guess maybe that's because City and I already established ourselves as filmmakers. But for young filmmakers, you also have to ask yourself, why would you want to screen your film online? Is it to create like a trajectory of your career? Maybe in the next 3 years, you're seeing yourself being this and that, and probably I guess it can work for as long as you know what you're getting into. If it's something that you're working online for online, then make a film that's suited for
Yeah.
online viewing. And I think it's also very hard, not only the film festivals, but it's also very hard to make films right now because of a lot of restrictions. In the Philippines, for instance, because of the COVID pandemic, you have to get a government consent before you can shoot. Because if in the course of your shoot somebody gets infected in your team, then
Mm.
the producer is liable to pay at least 2,000 US dollars as a government fine. So nobody wants to, pay that amount. So it's something very risky, and it's also one of the reasons why um, there's nobody's filming right now in the Philippines. Nobody's filming. I'm supposed to film. I'm also supposed to shoot a film this year, but I'm thinking that maybe by the end of the year or early next year, because it adds to the cost. If you, for instance, if you have a budget of say 1 million, then plus all the testing and everything, because if you have 50 cast members and 50 production crew members, everybody has to be tested before the shoot, during the shoot, and after the shoot, and that adds to the cost of shooting. And not only the testing, but you're also encouraged to live together in a same place for say X number of days. So that again adds to the budget, and no producer wants to make a film or a TV show with something that costs so much. So that has affected us a lot also in the Philippines. The production side and of course the screening side.
Yes, we can understand that condition as well. And Mr. Mangansakan, you have mentioned as well that you have decided to postpone the Salam Asian Film Festival that is held annually. And in the
Mm.
future, holding film festivals, do you think it's better, looking at the condition right now, to wait until a condition that is safe for everyone to attend physically, or should the festivals adapt? Because as Ms. Siti has said, it is very important as well for festivals to exist and also to be able to um, stay and be available for the filmmakers.
Yes, I think we are left with no choice but to adapt. But I think what's good with 2020, there have been cases, very good case studies of how film festivals adapted to the COVID. And for me personally, I like how the Tokyo International Film Festival adapted to the pandemic, and it's something that we can learn from. All the big festivals that somehow were able to do like a hybrid edition in 2020, we can learn from these people because a lot of these people are also our friends. So we can ask them, how did you adapt? And And that is something that a lot of film festivals are also thinking how to adapt. And I remember in last year, in November last year, I was also in the forum, and I was we were all asked if the future of film festival is going to be hybrid, and a lot of us said yes, primarily because it's something that is essentially here now, and it's something that is safe. And if it's going to keep us safe in the future, I guess. But again, the theatrical experience is still primary to us, and of course, we are eager to I guess for things to normalize a bit so that we can travel to film festivals, rekindle friendships, meet our old friends, make new friends. So I guess yes, the future of cinema is both digital and physical.
Yeah, I think that festivals have always had an online component. Even when we were going to the physical festival, because of the sales agent for them to watch films, for example, for feature films. But the problem is that, like, having our own festival, we know that we need audience. We need audiences because this is important to our stakeholders, like the sponsors, government, and all these people. So yeah, probably a hybrid, as you mentioned, because it has, the online component has been there for a long time, especially when we are trying to sell our movies.
Okay. Yes. Speaking of selling movies, we'd like to know more, especially regarding documentary films. Maybe it's the audience for documentary films is not as large as movies or dramas. Can you tell us about the potential market in your respective countries, both in Brunei and Philippines as well? And as you mentioned before, it is also important to gain sponsors. How can we build local markets and also international markets? And how can we find sponsors at the end to help fund our filmmaking? Maybe
Yeah.
from whoever first, Siti?
For documentary, ooh, it's really tough for documentary in Brunei. We were part of a co-production last year with through the Thai Media Fund, and we are 12 countries, and we just finished. And it's not just ASEAN, of course. Indonesia is there. Bhutan is there. Yeah, Mongolia, Taiwan, Korea, and for Brunei it was us, and we made it was about local wisdom, and it got aired, broadcasted in 12 countries. But I find that because since I did not direct it, I was producing it. It was very tough to find sponsors for it. It's
Okay.
really tough. Yeah, yeah. It's not the same as making a feature film or um, drama, or yeah, it's not. It's really tough. Maybe Teng can share.
Elaborate more, share his
Mm.
experiences. So from Philip,
Um,
what is it like there, Mr. Mangansakan, and your experiences?
I guess we're more friendly towards documentary films. As a matter of fact, last year we had a big festival dedicated to
Mm.
documentary films. It was called the Ang Docu. There were like hundreds of films, even from the early years of Philippine cinema up to the recent documentaries. So they were streamed online. It was supposed to be a physical festival in March. I even wrote an essay on the documentary tradition in Mindanao, but we were so excited that it was going to be happening in March, but it got postponed and postponed until it was decided it's going to be digital, it was going to be online. And of course, our funding agencies are also very friendly towards documentaries. The government, for instance, they give out funding for documentaries almost every year. And there's been a resurgence of documentary making in the Philippines for the last 5 years. And it's very good because a lot of the people concerned in the resurgence of Filipino documentaries happen to be women filmmakers. So it's the women filmmakers who are doing documentaries in the country right now. Aside from Philippine funding, we also get international co-production funding. So there are a lot of uh, international co-productions like DMZ Docs. There are also Asia Docs, and all these production labs that have a funding component. I also make documentaries. As a matter of fact, in 2016, I made a full-length documentaries about a massacre in Mindanao because during the time of martial law of Ferdinand Marcos in 1974, 1,000 Muslims were killed by government soldiers. So I made a film about that. So it had a very good reception, especially in the recent years. There's also a growing consciousness about Marcos in the Philippines. So people were able to watch what happened in 1974 and really get to decide whether Marcos is a hero or not. So I guess it's a good time to make documentaries. The Philippines is very proud right now because Filipino documentary called Aswang by Alex Arumpak has been getting a lot of positive reviews, and a lot of my friends who are documentary filmmakers are also making films, and I'm also keen on producing documentaries. I produced a documentary in 2017, and hopefully this year, because the last year the film I produced was a documentary. This year I might produce another documentary. So documentaries have a very big potential right now in the Philippines.
All right. Okay. I would like to wrap up our session this evening because the time has shown that we are running out of time. But we'd like to know your opinion, Mr. Mangansakan, also Ms. Siti. If Indonesia holds its own international film festival, will you both be interested in participating? And should it be held offline or online? Although I know both of you would answer offline because it would have the maximum experience and also the cultural sharing and also the extension of network. But in your point of view, would you be willing to attend and participate? And if so, what are you looking for in a festival, especially one that is held in Indonesia?
Wow. But I'm biased. I really love Indonesia. Everything about it. Like everything, the food, the friends there,
But
and
is there anything that you'd like to know more about Indonesia?
more.
Yes. Anything
Ooh.
that intrigues your curiosity?
Um yeah, I love to know more about the food because I really love there. I love it. Jakarta, but I would participate. I love being there. And somebody's whispering to me that they want to know about, because I'm actually on my set right now and we're having a break. Uh, they're like Komodo dragons.
Okay, Komodo dragons pointed out, noted.
Yeah, Komodo dragons. Because but that part of Indonesia is really interesting.
Yes.
Nusa Tenggara Barat. Yeah, is that that side? I'm really interested.
Timur.
Yeah. Yes, Timor, yeah.
And Barat is also not less beautiful as well. It's also equally beautiful. All
Yeah.
right, Siti. And so from Mr. Mangansakan, if Indonesia is to hold an international film festival, what are you looking for in this film festival?
Yeah, actually, last week I was asked by a friend because we were thinking, okay, after the COVID, what are we going to do? And my friend asked me, what's the first country you want to visit after the pandemic? I said I want to go to Indonesia because, of course, I love Indonesia. I have so many friends there. So it's a national documentary film festival. It's something that I look forward to happening in Indonesia. Indonesia, I guess, it has a lot of stories that needs to be told to the bigger audience, not only to Indonesians but also to the world. Uh, I see a very close connection with Indonesia. I've been very interested knowing more about the Sulawesi, because Mindanao and then Sulawesi is just under Mindanao. So we're very close. As a matter of fact, there's a small island in the Philippines. If you go there, you can already see the small islands of Indonesia. So I sense that we are so close and yet so far, and I want to bridge that distance by knowing more, especially in this side of Indonesia. Before COVID, there was supposedly there was already a flight between Mindanao and Manado. So I was planning to go to Manado via Mindanao, but again, because of COVID, that didn't happen. So I guess it can happen in the future. And in Salam Mindanao, for instance, there have been a lot of films from Indonesia that have been screened, international Indonesian documentaries that have been screened, and I want to see more documentaries from Indonesia in the future. And if the National Documentary Film Festival is going to be happening, I I have you have my support, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank you for all the best wishes and also the luck. And one more, just a short offline or online. Miss Siti, offline or online?
Both.
Oh, both, really? Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, we as filmmakers, we always need to adapt,
Yes.
right? Before we love to work on film, right?
Yes.
We love to
True.
work on 35,
True.
you know, even Super 16s.
Yes.
And then suddenly we're like, all right, we're all shooting on the Reds and the Aries now.
Okay.
So we adapt. We have to go with it. So if it's both, I mean,
Offline and online. Okay. So, Mr.
yeah.
Mangansakan, offline or online or both?
Both, but more leaning towards the offline.
Okay.
Offline.
Okay. More leaning towards the offline.
55-45.
Okay.
55-45.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
fair
otherwise
enough.
we cannot ever meet in real life.
True.
If
And you
it's
can't eat the
all
Indonesian
online.
food that you are longing for so much, right, Miss Siti?
Yeah, we want
Yes.
to. I love making new friends in film
Yes.
festival. It's my favorite thing. Yeah.
Okay. So we are wishing that you both can sometime soon visit us here in Indonesia, especially when we hold our International Film Festival.
We would love
So,
to.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to all the participants, and thank you to our speakers, Mr. Teng Mangansakan and also Ms. Siti Kamaluddin. Thank you for joining us today this evening. Thank you very much, and we can say a bit of wave right behind you, Ms. Siti,
Yes.
as well, and say hello to everyone.
Hello, hey Rudy. Si
Hey,
Anya nih di the
Rudy.
festival. Rudy, kapan mau ke Brunei-nya nih? Nggak buka-buka bordernya.
See you at Komodo Island.
Yeah. Oh, and Rudy gave a very nice video because we had our first batch of film graduates from the very first film school in Brunei.
Yeah, from the
Oh,
border.
and all these filmmakers from the rest of the world saw the video and they're like, how are we gonna beat Rudy's video? It's pretty awesome.
So next, you have to be able to beat Mas Rudy's video at the next festival.
Yes.
Terima
Thank
kasih.
you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih sama for everyone. Thank you very much for participating. And thank you once again to our speakers that has given us wonderful insights and also their views and also their wonderful experiences regarding film festivals and filmmaking itself. So to everyone here, to all the participants, we'd like to once again thank you. And do not forget to subscribe to Eagle Awards YouTube channel to know more and also watch more documentary films. And also do not forget to follow Eagle Awards on our Twitter and Instagram account, which is at Eagle_Awards. And don't forget to also join our weekly Eagle Cinema Talk and Eagle Forum every Wednesday that is held 4 p.m. Indonesian time. And don't forget to also Stay in tune and watch Melihat Indonesia that airs every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on Metro TV. And last but not least, my name is Sarah Wayne. Thank you for allowing me to host this forum for today, and see you at our next Eagle Forum. Good evening and goodbye.